All right, it is 25 minutes before 11 o'clock, and it is March 11th, 2015. If that's the same date on your calendar, then you're listening to a live broadcast. And the reason that's important is because if you would like to have a question about the law answered by attorney John Fuller, this is the time to call. Don't wait till the end of the show. Some questions require for other questions. Some questions require longer answers. The number is 622-9622. John Fuller is your attorney right now for the time being. He's an attorney at the law firm of Fuller & Fuller. The other Fuller is his beautiful wife, Janet. And that's it. So 622-9622, and John will answer your legal questions. Good morning, John.
Morning, Larry. How have you been?
Pretty good.
I know you've been busy with all the extracurricular work you've been doing, and we've had some pretty spring weather, so I guess that's a plus, and I hope all of our listeners have had a good weekend and a good week so far. We do look forward to calls from people who might have questions in general terms about the law. If they have a case that involves litigation or Social Security disability issues, well, we'd be happy to have them call at the office, make an appointment so we could talk about the specifics. But legislature is coming up in session, and a lot of new bills being filed that are going to potentially have major impact on people's lives. Once again, there is a bill pre-filed that proposes to do tremendous modification of the traditional alimony law in Florida. It came up 2 years ago, was passed by the legislature and then ultimately vetoed by Governor Scott. Didn't come back up last year. This year they have filed it. No one can predict what'll happen. But it's a dramatic change, and I don't really at this point. I'm studying it myself, but of course it's not a matter of studying it because it's work in progress, which I've heard the legislative process described as kind of like making sausage, and it's more like reading tea leaves right now as to what the ultimate outcome ought to be. But people should be aware because that could have an impact if they're facing dissolution of marriage.
Oh, really? And so, I mean, is there a way to give us a thumbnail sketch of what might be happening? Or?
Well, the House bill, which was filed, basically says that it's designed to get away from the concept of the traditional permanent periodic alimony, although it attempts to adopt guideline calculations for the amount of alimony based upon percentages of the analysis of the combined gross income of both parties and the duration of alimony based upon a calculation of a guideline schedule. And how that works is, we've traditionally, our alimony has been, issues for permanent alimony have been determined based upon whether or not one side has a need and the other side has a superior ability to contribute to that need. And so I don't know a lot about it. I have read the proposed House bill. There is a companion bill in the Senate. They had their first reading on it on March the 3rd, so it's just getting started. It's been assigned to the Judicial Committee and one other committee. I can't remember the name of it, and I really don't know much about it other than that, except it's something that bears watching.
Well, when a contract is made between two business partners and they dissolve that relationship, is there anything obliging one to pay the other, similar to an alimony situation?
No. If you have an arm's length business contract between two parties, the terms of the contract control and specify the duties and responsibilities of each party to the other.
Oh, okay. So marriage is a completely different thing.
It is different, but still similar in that marriage is considered somewhat of a partnership, and when there is divorce, it is tantamount to the dissolution of any other type of partnership, because you have to determine what are the assets, what are the value of the assets, what are the liabilities, what are the amounts of the liabilities, determine what the net assets of the marriage or the business is, equitably distribute those assets, and that's pretty much where a business contract stops. In a marriage situation, you have other components such as spousal support, which is alimony, children issues, parenting, time sharing, child support, those sorts of things, and you have a determination that needs to be made, and historically that's been made in alimony based upon the need and ability comparison of the respective spouses. A number of years ago in child support, the legislature did adopt a child support guideline provision, which looks at the combined net income of the parties. And the alimony works on gross income, which I think is an interesting change, and I don't know why, but the child support guideline is predicated upon net income comparison of the two parents.
Really?
And then the number of children, and then there is a schedule, a chart, if you will, that sets what the presumptive child support that should be paid, what that amount is based upon the combined net monthly income of both parents. Then you look at the percentage comparison of income. If spouse A produces 80% of the combined net income and spouse B produces 20% of the combined net income, and the children spend the majority of their time with spouse B, who produces 20%, and the guideline chart says that the presumptive child support is $1,000 a month, then the other parent pays $800 because he earns 80% of that. That's a very rough, there are exceptions and technical things, but that kind of gives you a broad overview of how that has been applied since they adopted the child support guidelines quite a few years ago, 10, 15 years ago. And the reason for that is because they were trying to have uniformity in child support. A judge in Miami may be very liberal and award a very high child support, and another judge in the Panhandle may be very conservative and award a much different child support. And you could have pretty much similar income components and great disparity in child support awards. So they were trying to provide uniformity to that. They also gave the judge discretion to depart from the guidelines if you could show good cause. One of the cases that came out early after the guidelines were adopted involved a Orlando Magic basketball player named Dennis Scott.
Oh, wow.
And the case is Finley versus Scott, and a woman who he had met briefly, allegedly, and ultimately proved that she conceived a child by him and had a child, and the guidelines had just gone into effect, and so she applied for child support for a 8, 10, 12-month-old infant. And of course, he was a superstar at that time. That's when Shaquille O'Neal was in his prime in Orlando. And he was making a substantial amount of money. And when you apply these guidelines, which were kind of designed for Mr. and Mrs. Middle Class America, if you will, I think it reveals something like the 12-month-old infant and his or her mother, who was the friend of Mr. Scott apparently for a brief period of time, was going to get $18,000 a month on the guidelines.
Wow.
And ultimately it worked its way up to the Florida Supreme Court, and they said that was never the intent of the guidelines, to provide a windfall profit to the mother of a child, that while the child was entitled to benefit from the good fortune of a high-income parent, it had to have some basis in reality based upon what the reasonable needs,
Right.
and no infant needed $18,000 a month. So they remanded it for the court to make a determination for that.
Oh, wow. We need to take a little break, and we'll be right back. The phone is open if you want to call John. The number is 622-9622. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Jimmy Bohannon from Bohannon Associates Land Surveying.
And this is Sheila Arnett, Commissioner Earl Arnett's wife.
And we are here representing Bohannon Associates team for the American Cancer Society Relay for Life.
1 out of every 3 people has been impacted by cancer. As you're hearing this, our good friend Bridget Harmon is battling cancer for the 2nd time. And we are showing our support to her and everyone else that cancer has impacted by hosting a team for Relay for Life.
We want to let you know about a very important fundraiser March 11th at Gator Docksides off of 200 between 5 and 9 p.m.
Gator Docksides will donate 10% of sales from the event directly to Relay for Life.
And we'll have a silent auction full of wonderful gift baskets, so please make sure you come out and support us in fighting this terrible disease.
March 11th at Gator Docksides from 5 to 9.
If you'd like to donate items for the auction, please contact me at 352-875-8766.
Or me at 352-209-1037.
Please join us in supporting a great cause.
Keep up with what's going on in the downtown area with Ocala Downtown Newspaper. Delivering thousands of newspapers to businesses in the downtown area, Ocala Downtown is there to keep you informed. They even have Tom's Picks, a free referral for people who are looking for a company to do work for them. Tom's Picks will refer the company that fits your needs, and all we ask in return is that you tell them where you heard about it. It's simple. For more info, just call Tom's Picks, 352-804-1223, and pick up your copy of the Downtown Ocala newspaper today.
Now read Ocala Downtown Newspaper online.
One of the most common questions those nearing retirement are asking: will I outlive my money? Retirement questions like these and many more will be answered every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on Planning for a Better and Safer Retirement with hosts Francois and Julian Pozenet. Francois and Julian will help you put your retirement puzzle together. Catch Planning for a Better and Safer Retirement Saturdays at 9 a.m. on Ocala's News Talk, The Source 96.3 FM and 1370 AM.
Hi, my name is Dr. Erica Olstein with A Better You Healthcare Acupuncture and Eastern Medicine. As primary care physicians, we use acupuncture to treat back pain, arthritis, migraines, allergies, high blood pressure, thyroid disorders, hormone imbalances, stress, and more using all natural medical therapies. We treat the source of your problems, not just your symptoms. For more information, go to abetteryouhealthcare.com or call today to set up your appointment, 352-615-5566.
All right, 12 minutes before 11 o'clock. John Fuller is here. The phone line is open. The number is 622-9622 if you want to ask John a question. So during the break, we were talking about alimony in New York. And I want to ask you about the prenuptial agreement. Is that something you would work with a client to or I guess it would be 2 clients in that case, the husband?
No. Each party, if before they're getting married, if they contemplate the need and desire to have a prenuptial, which is sometimes referred to as antenuptial, A-N-T-E, like antebellum, meaning before the marriage, prenuptial agreement, both parties would need to have their independent attorneys.
And you do have a phone call, so let's take that call. Good morning. You're on the air with John Fuller.
Good morning.
Morning, sir.
I have a question, but it has nothing to do with divorce.
That's okay.
Okay, I have a situation that I'm confronted with my termite, my bug spray people.
I'm sorry. Could you say that again?
I have a contract with people that come and take care of your house, spray and make sure you have no bugs.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, last year I came back from vacation and I discovered I had a little hole in the corner of my roof. And I called the people and they came and checked and said that I didn't have termites. Well, in January, all these swarm of bugs swarmed my whole closet. Mm-hmm. And I called the termite people that I have, and they came out and they said I had termites. Well, they came and treated all the way around the outside of my house. Well, no one has come to do the inside, to check the roof. And I have all of my clothes in my family room, because I took them all out of the closet and stuff because they asked me to do that. But no one has come. Someone called me week before last and said someone would be there last week. They haven't come or called. And here we are on Wednesday this week, and no one still has called. What do I need to do?
Well, the first thing that I would recommend to you is, if I assume you have some type of an annual, monthly, renewable agreement that sets forth what they are supposed to provide to you and what type of coverage. And you need to review that document very carefully to see what their duties are, and then you need to get an independent opinion from another entomologist, someone who I would go for a termite company that makes sure you have a graduate entomologist to come out, as well as a contractor to take a look at the house to determine, if they can, how long the termite infestation had existed, and then compare carefully with what kind of termite prevention treatment you had contracted for. Look back and see if in fact they had provided it, and then gather that kind of information, and then ultimately contact an attorney if you feel that they have failed to provide the adequate treatment that you contracted for. And I'm not sure, I don't know any of the details about that or how it works, but I would get a second opinion from a licensed pest control company with a graduate entomologist on staff to come out and look at the house and see what the problem is, and see if they can give you an opinion as to whether or not there is a causal relationship between the termites that you have and a failure or breach of the treatment agreement that you had with the other people. That's the best I can tell you, just in a quick conversation on a radio talk show. But good luck to you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
You.
My pleasure.
All right.
Thank
Have
you.
a blessed day.
Thank you. We have another call, John. Good morning. You're on the air with John Fuller.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Fuller.
Morning. How are you?
Oh, very good. I wish I had this problem that I want to discuss with you, but I don't, but I wish I had. In case you are a large winner of a lottery, millions of dollars, is it advisable to contact and get in touch with a lawyer immediately to get further information on how to handle the situation before you go to like a financial advisor?
I think you need to put together, if that fortuitous circumstance ever happens to you, call me and I will help you. I will help you put together your team. I assure you of that. I'm joking now, but I mean, I'm always glad to help anybody who wants to call. But here's what I would recommend, and I have recommended, and I have had in my career a couple of people who have won the lottery, which generally led then to litigation between them and their family members. So that's been my involvement with it, was from the litigation standpoint. But what needs to be done is you need to put together a team. And the first person you need to contact before you call the Florida Bar people, number one, you need to secure that ticket and make sure it's in a safe deposit box or somewhere where it is very, very safe. Number two, I don't think I would make a lot of public statements about it, because that would put you up for a target for people looking to perhaps take advantage of you. Number three, and the most important, is I would start with a very, very good, highly educated, board-certified tax lawyer who has a master's in tax law, and I would start with him because he needs to analyze your tax situation, what kind of document you can draft. Probably you're going to need or want to set up a trust, and there are very valid reasons for that. So I would start with the tax lawyer. After that, And as a part of that, you would want to retain a very competent certified public accounting firm, and then you would want to consult with a very capable, reputable financial advisor. Someone who I recommend someone who is an independent financial advisor, not just someone that necessarily works for a captive company. Not that they couldn't give you good advice, but you could have I think, greater breadth of instruction and information about different types of investments, whether it be a portion in real estate, setting up pension plans, setting up deferred trust gifts. It's very complicated, but you need a team of experts, and you definitely want to have that team of experts and your documents and your plan developed and drafted before you take the happy trip up to Tallahassee and get the check. Because if you get the check in your name alone, and then you go to all these people and you want to then transfer the money that was paid directly to you into a trust that you would need, there's all kinds of damaging tax ramifications on that. And I give everyone I talk with, even in my office, a disclaimer that I make no pretense of being a tax lawyer. But that's what you need to do. So good luck to you. If you have that problem, there'll be plenty of qualified people that you can contact who'll be happy to help you.
Yeah, thank you for the call. The phone line is open again. If you want to call in, the number is 622-9622. Yeah, that would be a nice problem to have, I think.
Yeah, it really is, and you need to plan ahead when it happens. The worst thing a person could do is to run down, hop in his car, drive to Tallahassee, and walk away with a big check.
Yeah. I knew somebody at an assisted living facility who won the lottery. I don't know how much, but I know that the person, what do you call legal attorney? What do you call that person?
Guardian?
No, there was another phrase that they used. Legal attorney. Oh gosh.
Attorney ad litem, guardian ad litem.
I don't know, but anyway,
Sorry.
so they were in charge of the person of their expenditures. They would be the ones who bought clothing and supplies and things for that person. Robin, what is that called again? Robin will remember that person.
A trustee?
I guess it's like a trustee. Yeah.
A custodian, a guardian, a trustee. That pretty well.
But anyway,
covers it.
I mean, I'm assuming that everything was no shenanigans took place. But anyway, you have another phone call. Good morning. You're on the air with John Fuller.
Kathy, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My tax person told me one other angle on this, very very similar to what you just said, John. But they said that form the trust and have your executor of the trust claim the check in the trust's name.
Right.
So your name stays out of the media and all that.
Well, that's certainly a good consideration, but one of the reasons that it's better to put it in the trust is because you can then have control over the trust, and the money that goes into the trust, then if you decide you want to do some preliminary divisions of these funds, for instance, if you want your children to each have 10% of the lottery winnings, you can name them as 10% beneficiaries of the trust, and you don't have to pay a gift tax on it. If you take all the money in your name and then you give each one of your children 10%, then somebody has to pay a gift tax on that.
Right.
So there's the ones that I've been involved with, they all set up a trust and they all had the check paid to the trust, and the trust then had the member beneficiaries and the trustees who then controlled how the trust was divided and what you could do to modify the trust, and it gives you a lot more flexibility and a lot more protection. And like I said, there's some very sophisticated tax analysis that has to go into doing that.
We're right up against the clock. I have to come to you if I ever win the lottery. What is your phone number?
Our office number is 352-547-4292. Our toll-free number is 855-534-2565. The law firm's Fuller & Fuller.
Call us if you need that repeated. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Larry.
We'll be right back. This is WOCA Ocala.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. There are worries 11 service members missing in a Black Hawk crash may have died.
That chopper launched into foggy skies last night from Eglin Air Force Base.
We have found some debris from the aircraft.